Hey everyone, and welcome to Ticket Stubs and Popcorn. I am Frank.
I'm Peter.
He's Peter. And so today we're going to take three of what we consider the top roles for Colin Firth.
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth.
Good
When
man.
you need an uptight English actor, he's your guy.
You said it.
I
Hey,
think
before
most
we get
definitely.
going,
Before I get, you got
I got a question for
All
you.
right, go ahead.
What do you consider is the best car chase that
Car
you've
chase?
seen in a movie?
Well,
Not just out
in
on the
general.
block.
Okay. So, all right. So, my favorite car chase. Okay. All right. I'll think about that. That's good.
Before we get into this.
Yeah, everybody, if you would like and subscribe, join us on Facebook and on Instagram. That's kind of where we are. So,
Thoughts,
all right.
comments. We love them.
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth.
To you, sir.
You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. Colin Firth. He's
British.
He's British. he's such a very good actor, well-rounded.
Do you think so, though?
I do, because I think he's very good, and I think he's very comfortable, because he takes some movies, some roles, that you wouldn't say, oh, wow, okay.
So give me the well-rounded. Because
I'm just going to throw out this movie's not one I picked, but what I'm getting at is, like, he can be Bridget Jones' Diary. He can be in Mamma Mia, but he can be in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand the range of things he's in. Yeah, I get that. But I still think that he's generally just kind of a staid British type. Like, it's going to surprise you when I'm going to say this and then later one of my picks, but I don't really picture him in comedies. And I know that Bridget Jones is a comedy and Mamma Mia is, it's a musical, but more funny than anything else.
Right.
But I wouldn't say.
Well, I'm not saying he'd be the first one you'd go to if you were casting, but I mean, I think he can do it if you give him a chance.
Yeah, all right, so give me one of yours.
Okay. So my Colin Firth, there's and I think I'm going to, none of mine are comedies.
Exactly my point.
No, yeah, but I'm just saying, that's just the way it is. So, first one is The King's Speech.
Okay. See, I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, me too. That Jeffrey Rush, I can't get enough of him.
No, King's Speech is great.
Yeah. And we've actually mentioned, or I mentioned it when we did Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
I love that performance of hers. And but the bulk of that movie, although Jeffrey Rush is definitely a major player in the movie. Colin Firth. He is the king, if you haven't figured that out yet, in The King's Speech. But he's there's some issues involved, and probably the main one, even before we get to the speech, or we get to his own speech or speech impediment, is that here's a person who is royal by birth, but he's not he's not the successor. He's not the heir apparent. So there's a couple things, like, so he is royal, his father is the king, you're still bred in a certain way and trained how to act, what you don't do, what you don't say, blah, blah, blah. But there's still that underlying thing, like, well, I'm not going to be king. That's not going to be my fate.
Right.
And it's fine by me. Essentially, that's
Yeah.
what it is. And then, of course,
Until
until his dad does die, and his older brother says, "Well,
nah, I don't want to.
I don't really want to do this,
No, I'm good.
so I'm going to back out after a
You
short
can do
time."
the kinging.
And then he does the whole thing about he's going to marry a twice divorced woman, and everybody's like, no, you're not. And he goes, well, yeah, I am. And then he abdicates.
Right.
And so now it's thrust on his brother, the second in line. And so, because of the time period, things are happening in Europe, and there's an approaching world war coming. And now he's got to do things more than he ever thought. And part of that, because the radio is becoming a bigger and bigger thing, probably 10 years old or so at this point, the invention of it, it's becoming a much bigger thing. You reach a bigger audience,
Right.
and now he's
stuck. He's
now
not good with the
No,
speechifying.
he's not. He's not good with the speechifying. And so that's where the Jeffrey Rush character comes in. But I think he really comes across well as a man who's comfortable in one sense, that he is now the king. He knows what it's like to be royal and what not to do, what to say, blah, blah, blah. But he's in a very uncomfortable situation. And so he takes training and this and that, and he's the support of his wife, and he's got to do something that to him is like as if he were walking the last mile to like the electric chair or something.
Yeah,
and
having to portray a real person for one thing, which I'm sure is always difficult. And then there's that frustration he needs to show. And in any situation like that where you need to do public speaking and you're not into that at all, and then you have to get some help with that. But piled on top of all of that is, this is a country you're trying to lead.
Yeah.
And although this isn't one of my picks, I think the way Colin Firth carries that off, it made you feel for the guy. You're just like, that first time that he's at the mic and he's got to do it, and you're just like, you're so sucked in.
Yeah.
And you feel so invested, and he's brought you into that point, and you're just like, shit, please just do it. Just do it. Just do it. And you really pulls you in that you really want to be on his side.
And there's like that whole dichotomy too, where it's like there's the human being, fear and frustration.
Mm.
But as the king, you know that you're not supposed to have fear. You're not supposed to have frustration.
Right.
You're supposed to lead, and you're supposed to lead by example.
And it's even more compounded by it's wartime.
Yeah.
So not only
people are looking to you, and they want to hear you tell them what's going to happen and that everything's going to be all right because we're going to come through. And like his whole problem is, are we going to come through the war? Am I going to make it through the speech?
Right.
What are you people worried about?
Yeah.
I'm joking about that, but that's this is the first thing. That's the first thing he's got to do is get through the speech, for goodness sakes. So I like that movie. The other thing is which might add to the burden of the actor is that we've talked before about biopics and stuff, but this man is British. That specific king had died before, say, Colin Firth is born, but the only queen that Colin Firth is known is the man he's portraying's daughter, who's still alive on the
Right.
throne. So you also don't want to
Right.
screw up and do something that's gonna like not look good that way
Right.
either. So, you know,
No, great
so I'm
performance.
sure
Great
he was
performance.
thinking about. I'm sure they were all thinking of stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, the Queen Elizabeth is this man's daughter, and you don't want to, hey,
Right. Yeah.
you know. So, but I love that performance. So that was my first pick for Colin Firth. There's another one, A Single Man,
Mhm.
and there's not much going on. It's hard to explain, I guess. There really isn't much going on in the movie.
Right. Not a lot happens.
Because it's not a lot happens.
But a lot is going on.
There's there's a lot going on, but it's all the way that Colin Firth has to bottle it up all the time. And he just in this movie, if you're unfamiliar, he's British, and he's living. He's a professor. He's living and has been teaching for X amount of years in California. He's a college, university professor or something. But he is he's a homosexual man who is in a long-term relationship, a committed relationship, and his partner has
dies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His partner has died suddenly in I want to say an automobile accident. That one I might not be sure, but his partner does die suddenly, and so they've been together, like 12, 15 years, something like that. And it's only been like less than a year now. So, and he's planning on killing himself. So we see a gun at the beginning, and this is going to be, quite possibly, the last day of his life, basically it. I'm not sure if it's because if they hint that because he's British, and you always hear about the stiff upper lip British sort of thing. If that's a little bit of why he's very quiet, very silent about a lot of things, reticent. But I think the main point is that because it was the 50s, I want to say maybe into the early 60s where this movie takes place, obviously that's a very taboo subject.
Right.
So he's already been living a very quiet existence about his relationship. So it's something that, he wasn't free to talk about or express publicly.
Right.
So, but there's a whole, it's this very,
multifaceted.
There's a lot going on under the surface, kind of like the stereotypical, the duck that's paddling, but you don't see it. That's all under the surface. And I just love that performance. It's just a great performance. And I won't say how that ends or what happens, but it's just a man who's really just buttoned down for a few reasons there. But great performance. Just love that one.
Now what's the third?
The third one is where am I going with this? Yes. Where the trail leads, or where the trail leads. Boy, now I'm questioning my memory here. I think it's Where the Trail Leads. I'll be the first one. The movie may not be the best movie, but I really loved his performance in this movie, and it's one of Kevin Bacon's best performances as well.
That's a different show.
Yeah, but at least I think it is. it's this wonderful. The story isn't wonderful. It's a wonderful idea that comes from a novel. Um, it's not based on fact, but it's based on Hollywood characters.
Okay.
So it's supposed to remind us of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, that team.
Okay.
It's supposed to remind us of that. This did not happen.
Okay.
The stuff that's going on did not happen. It's fiction. So Colin Firth is more he plays a Brit in this one, and he comes over, and then they team him up at some point early in the 50s with the Kevin Bacon character, who's more like the Jerry Lewis character. And it's a great working relationship, and they become very popular. And just like in real life, how Jerry Lewis used to do telethons, this duo does a telethon for polio every year or whatever it is.
In support of cure.
They're against
They're
polio.
against
They're
polio.
against
Okay.
it. So they're probably trying to raise money to fight polio.
Okay.
Yeah, well, let's just go.
Sometimes you want to know.
No, because who knows if you just said they have
Those
one for polio. Those
polio
yeah.
telethons, not very successful. Not
No,
very successful at all. So no amount of Don Rickles can save that. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Maybe. So it has this interesting thing, and it involves a murder. It involves a cover-up. They find a murdered woman in their hotel suite.
So wait, Colin Firth is the Jerry Lewis-ish guy?
No,
or
he's
is
the Dean Martin character.
Is he also a drunk and a
little bit.
I mean, what is he?
A little bit. He's kind
need to
of well.
do?
No, I mean his character's not exactly like.
Well, I'm just
Dean Martin.
wondering if they were alluding to how much.
There's like some drug
like-
use. There's a little bit.
Is it a comedy or is it a thing? Because I
No.
don't.
No, it's not a comedy.
Okay.
It gets pretty dark. There is a murder
See, I can picture
There is a
Colin Firth doing dark. I got trouble with
cover
him
up,
being funny.
and there's a whole thing where there's an investigation. So the movie takes place in two time periods. We'll say like the middle 50s when the murder takes place, when the telethon takes place. And then we're in the early 70s, I'll say, where there's this investigation. A young woman wants to write a book on
Okay.
them. And there's some questions. And one of the questions is, what
you
really
like it?
happened to that girl?
Yeah.
What happened to that young woman who they found in your hotel suite? But also, they broke up. That comedy team or that entertainment team broke up at that time, like soon after this telethon.
So is it like?
So now it's like, what was the cause of it? And this is the stuff that opens up. But like the Colin Firth character.
So what does he do? Why is it a great performance?
Oh, because he's very private. He's hiding something. Is it the something about that night with the girl, with the murder, or are they covering something else up in addition? And these are things that are going to.
How old is this movie? I'm going to guess early 90s.
No, I want to say. Oh, shoot, now you got me. I was going to maybe 2000?
All right.
Maybe around there.
All right.
Maybe somewhere in there. But it's very interesting. There's some layers in there. And as they do the investigation, you find out more information. And then there's like, certain fears and personal stuff that like, why are they keeping this secret? And then he wants to write a book, and this other girl's going to do the so it's kind of like he's greedy, and there's other stuff going on in here.
So that's a drama. So he.
No, I know it. I said that my 3 picks weren't.
Yeah, but
weren't like the Mamma Mia
I don't
or the
see
other
any. I mean, yeah, sure, Mamma Mia is. What officially now are your 3 picks? Because we've bounced around.
No, I've stuck with my 3, but I was saying it's not comedy like those.
Oh, okay.
But you want me to give you the 3, or you want to
No,
wait to try to guess later?
I'm gonna remember them. I've been paying attention. So, all right. Before I get into my 3, like and subscribe if you would, please, and do the Facebook and Instagram stuff. So my 3, I'm going to start with a comedy.
I hope it's the one I'm thinking of.
It's not,
because you enjoy it.
It's not the one. It's not the one you're thinking.
Okay, good.
But it is. I think it's the first instance in this little show of ours where I'm the one busting out a Woody Allen movie.
See, I'm not that crazy about this one, but go ahead.
So, Magic in the Moonlight? Yeah. Where he's a magician and professional, like, debunker of, people who say that they're mystics and stuff like that. And it's a Woody Allen movie, so you can expect, not all of his stuff is light, but the whole idea seemed like it was going to be pretty light. So I'm just like, you know what? I haven't seen this. I'm going to watch this. So I watched it. And it was he is kind of a funny character in this. And I've not seen him be like funny. I mean, the Bridget Jones stuff notwithstanding, where that's kind of funny, but she's more the funny focus of that, and everybody else is kind of like just dealing with her funny in that movie. So he doesn't really get to say that he's like a comedic actor in that movie. So, but in this one, he kind of is, and he plays up against Emma Stone, who is just fantastic in this. Came out 2014.
Probably.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I know.
But he his funny ends up sort of coming too close to the line and occasionally crossing like back into just sort of uptight British guy. Exactly. And I know that that's part of his character, and then the other part of his, the part of his story is that he becomes enlightened and he's happier and all of that because he's not burdened by the fact that or the notion that life is meaningless and that there's nothing else out there. But through her machinations, she opens up the world of more spiritual possibility to him. And his character does open up a bit. And it was fun to see Colin Firth be a little lighter and fun. But again, it just sort of, as the character reminds himself that, no, God damn it, I'm not praying to anybody.
Shut it down.
I am not praying to anybody, just no. And so he goes back to being the stuffed shirt that has been Colin Firth's bread and butter for 30 years. So, but I did like the performance. I did like seeing that ebb and flow of fun and slightly playing with the idea of maybe possibly I'll be a little whimsical. So as much as
life's too short
can be. Yeah, exactly. So, but overall, I actually I enjoyed the movie. Everyone in it is pretty fun. The little twist at the end there, where you learn a little bit more about her skills as a mystic come out. So that's kind of neat. So my next one would be Kingsman, because it's the first time you get to see Colin Firth as a badass. And it is just so refreshing. It's so out of nowhere. It's like when we talked about Keanu Reeves at some point. How when I went to see The Matrix, I was like, let's go watch Keanu do Kung Fu. This will be amazing. It wasn't quite that way when I went to see Kingsman. I was more kind of like, all right, let's see what this is all about. And then to see him not only just sort of be the mentor and stuff, but to see him kicking ass, and that scene in the church just amazes me. It's so good. And he's like, all right, yeah, Colin Firth is an action star, and this is so great. And it is yet another example of great actors elevating a comic book story.
Yes.
It's he's so great in that, and it's totally believable. And he really does. He does the whole stiff British guy, and he's a great mentor toward Eggsy. And he's able to do both, and it's so great. It approaches cartoonishness. I mean, Sam Jackson in that is an absolute cartoon with the lisp and that.
Yes,
that's a weird choice that I think the director just went like, you know what, Sam, just keep going with it. Whatever, you're Sam Jackson.
You know
what? Fine.
I think I remember when that movie was coming out that you know they had interviewed him, and he just said, all I could think about was like, who's the toughest guy I know, or the scariest guy I know? And he said, oh, Mike Tyson's probably the scariest guy I know. He goes, hey, you know, Mike Tyson has a lisp and he can still be tough. So I think that may have been the genesis of like a little bit of
so
that.
fun. Just like, let Sam have it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, another Colin Firth, that'd be my second choice for him.
Yeah.
And then Love Actually. Love Actually.
I knew you were gonna pick that one.
That
is one of your three anyway.
I love that story.
Yeah.
That little vignette in that. Well, yeah, I love that story in that movie. It's such a sweet. This is heartbroken guy. He just wants to go and write, and he can't communicate. But you can see it in like their looks and their body language, and it's just there's so much communicated with so like little effort. And I'm not discounting the skill it takes to portray that, but it's like a good short story. You know, sometimes the best story can be told as a short story, and it's just, you know, less is more. And that whole storyline with the housekeeper is just so delightful in that movie. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie, and it's just so sweet. And he's just, I don't know, it's just so damn charming. Yeah. And that's because it's a combination of like your stammering Hugh Grant Britishness that, you know, that he got away with in like Four Weddings and a Funeral,
or most of his career,
Notting Hill, and all that, right? But it's and he's still that sort of stiff Brit kind of guy, but he's just it's just. It really gets me every time I see that movie when he's stammering through trying to propose to her. Kills me every time. Yeah. Every time. That just kills me.
And he has to make some effort. There's effort there.
It's a wonderful performance. It really, really is. So, so those are my three Colin Firth.
Very good.
Yeah, thanks. Should we recap? You want to?
Okay, you picked.
This makes it easy for you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I just did it. Love Actually, Magic in the Moonlight, and then Kingsman.
All right. Yours were you were King's Speech.
Yeah.
And you were Trail.
Where the Trail
Treasure
leads.
Trail.
Yes.
Whatever it is.
So where the trail leads. I want to say.
Made no
the
difference.
Trail Lies.
Yeah, the trail, whatever.
That could be it.
And then there was a third movie that I am
a single man.
A single man. Yeah. You know what? I saw that movie, and I walked out of that movie going, "Oh, okay, that happened.
I don't.
That was a thing that I did for 2 hours.
It's a slice of life."
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad.
No, I love his performance.
Yeah.
I love his performance more than I like the movie.
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah.
it was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so before we get on to that question,
Which I've already forgot.
which you've already forgotten.
Yes. No.
Yes.
I know the
Yeah.
question, but
All right. Join the Facebook group. Follow us on
Yeah.
Instagram. Do the subscribe thing.
Love to
all
hear
right,
from
let's
you.
go. Let's talk about it. Oh, you asked me.
I asked you.
You asked me.
So do
All
you
right.
remember what I asked?
Of course I do.
Okay,
Yes, it was a car chase question.
Was that it?
Yes, it was a car chase question. And when you first asked, my first first thing that came to mind was the last third of Blues Brothers, which is all
Yes.
the car chase. But
Right.
that's not what I'm going to say. It's a fantastic one. It's
Oh,
great.
it is.
But I think that I want to go with I gotta go French Connection.
Yep. That's a great one. It's a great one.
Yeah, it's just what's great about it's just I mean that's a great gritty movie, and there have been flashier ones. There's that one with
Well, don't give it away because I might be throwing that one
you might
out.
be, but French Connection is great because it's so dirty. And
It is.
gritty,
Oh, yeah.
and these cars are just old pieces of shit, and it's just
And they're like, reverse,
Yeah,
and then underneath
you're in those
the
cars, and
the elevated,
yeah,
they
and
go
it's
through the
not. It's not like a flashy, Fast Furious kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because those are just those are just set pieces that like cars are doing a performance and they're doing but like a car chase where you're like moving around
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
so the other one, and you might mention it, but you could say yours and then I'll say whether that's the one I was
Okay.
like my second choice.
My choice would be I was actually waiting because I said it's got to be one of two.
Okay.
So I said if he goes with one of them, I'll just go with the other.
Was French Connection one of yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Is Bullet, which is
Okay,
Steve,
that was another
Steve
one of mine.
McQueen. It's a couple years, 2-3 years maybe a little
Yeah.
earlier, and that was like the first
That's
one to kind
another-
of set the pace. And so when they wanted to outdo it
Yeah.
with the French Connection,
Yeah.
and
That's
it's just
one.
great because that one's in San Francisco, so it's you know what I mean. They're
Yeah.
like hills,
Um,
the turn, the whole
Another
bit.
a more recent, really good one
Go
is
ahead.
Baby Driver. Really great.
You know what? You know what else I like is when I was thinking about. I worded it when I asked it. I said car chase, and in the back of my mind, I started to think. There are some good chases that aren't, or there's like one I'm thinking of that's not a car chase, but it's a chase scene. Is in Casino Royale.
Oh yeah.
It's that foot chase.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, that's
and there's a
another great
construction
one.
site, and they're going up the crane and all this, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
that is a great one. That is great.
And it was so sustained where
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, I would have passed out half a mile back. Forget
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
They're still
that's
going,
it.
and he's still chasing like full bore. He's just going out, and
that is a great one.
yeah. And I thought you don't see enough, foot chases. Anyway, you see some car
There's one
chases.
in one of the Mission, I think it's the most recent
Yeah.
Mission Impossible movie where he's just like chasing the guy and there's like rooftops and that's the
I
one
think
where
there's a
Tom
Bourne one
Cruise-
too, where they're jumping through the windows.
Yeah.
There's a chase scene from one apartment that go across.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So
one
we'll
too.
have to think about actual foot chases. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
So anyway, hey, go down in the comments. Let us know what your favorite car chase scene is. So let's do the bucket
You said
and we'll see what we're doing next time. You know what? I picked. Okay, do one.
I'll get one here.
We really should get a bucket of popcorn.
You said that
We
once
should do that.
before. Yeah. All right. Need one. We like I said, we have a couple. Yeah. All righty. Okay. All right. You see what you can do.
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good. She's fun. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching this episode of Ticket Stubs and Popcorn.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.